Alright, so it's time to do the review of the sixth game that happened last night, and I was originally going to do this review last night, but since I got back home around 11:15 p.m. and I still had to watch some of the highlights of these games, since when I did went to that game between the Quakes versus the Sounders, I wasn't able to watch some of these games, and that this one between the Dynamo versus Sporting KC, I actually didn't even watch this game at all, and I had to watch the 15-minute condensed highlight version to catch up to see what happened in this one. But the other one, I did at least watch part of it, and this one between TFC versus Columbus, not only I watched part of this game, but on my way to PayPal Park, I was actually listening to the audio of this game, and by the time I actually got to the stadium, this game was already over. But speaking of which, let us actually talk about this game between TFC versus Columbus, and in the end, Toronto finally got their first win of the season as they won 2-0 against Columbus, and also Chris Armas finally getting his first league win as a TFC head coach in this game. It was a promising start for TFC in the first 10 minutes, but Matan did have a chance for Columbus early as he flashed one wide from about 10 yards out in the 10th minute. But then 3 minutes later, we got ourselves the opening goal of this game. It's Michael Brantley that scores the opening goal for TFC in this game. And how many times I've said in this review where when you don't clear the ball away in the box and let the ball just kind of keep dangling in the 18-yard box, you know your opposition is going to punish you and basically score that one. And in this case, Columbus did not clear the ball away when the ball was dangling in the box, and it was basically asking for a TFC player to basically slots it into the back of the net, which Michael Brantley was able to do so, and TFC were up 1-0 in this game. But it looked like that lead was short-lived just 2 minutes later, because Jarzy Zardes actually went through on goal, but Alex Bono was able to deny him there and stood tall on that one-on-one. I thought Bono definitely had his best game for TFC this season, and I know this season TFC fans have been very critical of Alex Bono and said that he definitely is not a good goalkeeper whatsoever, but you gotta remember, he is basically in place of Quinton Westberg, who is currently injured, and like many TFC player that is currently on that long list of the IR list, I have no idea what kind of injury is bothering Quinton Westberg, and whether it will be interesting to see whether or not if he is going to come back in these next couple of weeks, but at least for the foreseeable future, Alex Bono is going to be between in the stake. And again, I thought this game he had a much better game compared to the last couple of games where he definitely has not been very good. But 10 minutes later, TFC looked to double that lead when De Leon unfortunately hit the post. And then on the follow-up, Satado looked to score his first goal for Toronto, but unfortunately his follow-up was actually blocked by Abdul Salam, and that was a goal-saving block too, because if Abdul Salam did not block that one, it's going to end up into the back net, and it would have been 2-0 in favor of TFC. But in the 30th minute, Bono made another decent save as he denied Diaz. I thought both teams was getting good chances, but we head to halftime with Toronto leading 1-0 against Columbus. So we go to the second half, and in the 51st minute, Nagby actually cleared a shot off the line from Gonzalez. Then 3 minutes later, Bono only gets a yellow card after he mistimed his challenge on Diaz, and originally I thought that could have been a possible denial of goal score opportunity and Bono would have been in serious trouble, but because of the fact that I think this foul happened on the right side of the field and Diaz kind of didn't look like he was going to go through on goal, that maybe is the reason why it was not a denial of goal score opportunity, and Bono is very lucky the fact that he only got away with a yellow card after this instant. Now Diaz did have a chance just 3 minutes later, but unfortunately flashed 1-1. Then Altidore become the latest player to be victimized by the post as he hit that in the 75th minute, but eventually he did kill the game off for TFC and make sure Toronto get their first win of the season as he scores from Gonzalez in the 87th minute to make it 2-0 in favor of Toronto, and that would be the final score of this game. As the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 10 that Columbus had, 4 shots on goal compared to 3 that Columbus had, 3 shots off target compared to 5 that Columbus had, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Columbus had, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Columbus had in this game. And for the Crew, it's the same problem that they've been having this season in last year, where they just cannot able to get a win or points whenever they go on the road. But for TFC, a much needed win, and now the fact that they are starting to get some of their players off the IR list, and knowing the fact that they have started to get their big money signing that they just made a couple of days ago in Jefferson Santato, being in the regular starting 11, and has already looked good in the first two games. You wonder if this TFC team ready to start to go on a bit of a run and looking to trying to climb themselves back up the top of the Eastern Conference, which is what we expect them to do this season. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is another game that also ended 2-0, but this time it's actually in favor of the visitor, as Montreal is able to win 2-0 in this game against Inter Miami. And Montreal must have watched my video on Tuesday when I talked about the 5 most surprising teams so far in MLS, and when they saw that I didn't put them on the board there, they definitely took it personally, because I think this was probably the best game that Montreal has played throughout the entire season, and that's even with that 4-2 win against TFC earlier this season. I thought they looked even better in this one, because not only they were lethal in front of goal, but also they were pretty much suffocating Inter Miami throughout this entire game. Now, Montreal early on in this game, they controlled possession and they looked like they were the better team, and they were rewarded that with a goal in the 14th minute as Bjorn Johnson scored his first goal for Montreal, as he scores from Mihailovic and Pia to give Montreal a 1-0 lead. Inter Miami was really struggling to create anything going forward. That would be a story that will continue for the entire night. But they did have a chance in the 23rd minute when Patamis was called for the first time. He denied Breck Shea there, while Jay Chapman did try to follow up the shot there to put it into the back of the net, but unfortunately he only finds the side netting. And then on the very next sequence, it's Brian Johnson scoring his second goal of the game and his second career goal with Montreal, as he scored from Kyoto to give Montreal a 2-0 lead. Higuain did have a chance to give one back for Miami, but unfortunately he blazed one high as he went through on goal, and we head to halftime with a 2-0 lead in favor of Montreal. So we go to the second half, and look, the game is delayed because of lightning, because, you know, this is South Florida. Lightning is pretty much a threat every single game, and, you know, apparently I think this lightning storm that they were dealing with was actually a big one, because this game had this game basically, so you had this lightning delay that lasted almost 2.5 hours, and the game actually didn't restart until 11 p.m. Eastern. And at this game between the Quakes versus the Sounders, you know, I was actually thinking that this was actually going to be the last game of the evening, which eventually it was, but I didn't expect that this was kind of the last game of the evening where there's no other game that is going on. But since there was like a lightning delay in this one, when this game was at halftime, I was actually still watching Inter Miami playing against Montreal, and by then it was like close to midnight when this game was still going on. And it was kind of also giving you some MLS's back vibe, where you see some of these games that basically is played past midnight, and we have also seen some crazy action that has happened in these MLS's back tournament. And there's a good reason why whenever there's games that take place late, there's always this phrase called MLS after the dark, where there's always crazy things that happen in MLS after dark. But unfortunately in this one, that was not the case. In fact, there wasn't really a lot of action in the second half, although there was a couple of decent chances. First, in the 47th minute, McCarthy was able to deny Lapinainen and a chance for Montreal to get that third goal. Then Higuain had another chance to get one back for Inter Miami, but he of course slides it wide in the 71st minute before Martial hits the post in the 77th minute. And for the last 13 minutes of the game, it looked like Montreal were the more threatening side to get that third goal, and that's got to be kind of alarming if you're Miami, knowing the fact that, you know, again, they just did not showed up in this game, and they just offer no pushback whatsoever throughout this game, even though they were down 2-0 in this game at home. And that's just something you usually do not see teams at home do, where they just show no fight and push back, even though they're down 2-0 in this game. And yeah, that of course was also the final score of this game, as the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to just 6 shots that Inter Miami had in this game. 1 shot on goal compared to 4 that Montreal has. 3 shots off target with 4 that Montreal has. 3 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Miami has in possession-wise, 52% possession compared to 48% possession. And also with this win, Montreal is now at the top of the Eastern Conference. And if you would have told me in the beginning of the season that this team would be at the top of the Eastern Conference after 5 weeks, I would think you're absolutely crazy, because everybody thought that this was the worst team in the league. Like, even I predicted that this team was going to finish at is going to finish as the worst team in the East. And yeah, I mean, they are definitely proving a lot of doubters wrong. And also, I know I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I'm starting to doubt some of my prediction that I made in the beginning of the season, and I can't wait to see how many I'm going to get wrong with the way that some of the prediction that I made in this season, with how this season has gone. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of those wrong when I do look back of my prediction that I made at the end of the regular season. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Union versus New England. So for the second game in a row for the Revs, they are definitely going to be very upset after this game, because they feel like there was a call that gone against them. Only this time, that call actually had some effect in terms of the result in this game, which we, of course, will get to that controversial call late in this game. But we actually had a controversial call just 5 minutes into this game, where there was no penalty that was given to the Union after Shibilko clearly think he was brought down by Brendan Bye. Now, the Union broadcast keeps saying that should have been a penalty, but when I look on the replay, yes, Shibilko did kind of went down, and yes, Bye did try to make a challenge to try to break down Shibilko, but I didn't really see a lot of contact in that, and in many ways, I feel like it was Shibilko the one that decided to kind of trip himself up to draw the penalty, rather than maybe him trying to make any contact off of Bye to go down on the ground. But nevertheless, the penalty was not given. There was a couple of half chances for both of these teams. Matt Turner did deny Santos, and as he was denied Santos there, Montero tried to do the follow-up, but unfortunately it goes high. I thought Turner had a good game in this. In fact, I thought both goalkeepers had a great game in this. And one thing that I forgot to also mention in the preview, besides the fact that this is a rematch between both of these teams in the first round of the Eastern Conference, but also this is a battle between two of the best goalkeeper in the league, and they definitely live up to that name with the way that both of these keepers make some decent save to keep this game 0-0 for a very long time. Now, in the 30th minute, it was Andre Blake's turn to make a decent save as he denied Carlos Hill during that moment. Then Turner would deny Santos again from close range in the 32nd minute as we head to halftime, 0-0 between the Union and the Revs. Now, we go into the second half, and in the 55th minute, Hill just hits it wide from 19 yards out before Buchanan in the 61st minute blazed one high, and you can see the Revs were starting to push to try to get that opening goal. But then Jack Elliott did try to score a goal of the week goal when he basically tried to take one on the volley for about 28 yards out, but unfortunately it went wide. I mean, it didn't really miss by much, but if that actually went in, that would definitely be in contention for goal of the week. And I think probably one of the least likeliest guy that you would think that would score goal of the week would be Jack Elliott. But then again, this Union team, they have a history of defender able to score amazing goals. So I wouldn't bet that Jack Elliott potentially would have scored that one. Or even if Glesnes was the one that hits that one, then I definitely would not bet the fact that one would not win wide and instead ends up in the back of the net. But 1 minute later, Andre Blake did deny Hill in the 75th minute, as I thought this game started to become end-to-end, and it looks like both teams was really going for to get that opening goal, which eventually the Refs were able to do so. As they score in the 85th minute, it's Bunbury scoring for Buchanan and Bo to give the Refs a 1-0 lead, and the Refs thought that was it. They probably have secured all 3 points again against the Union, but this is where the controversy began, because in the 87th minute, just 2 minutes after the Refs got that opening goal, the Union would equalize, and it's Shibilko, the one that gets the tying goal. Now, what was so controversial about this is that it seemed like Shibilko actually fouled Turner as that ball was coming into the box, and obviously Refs fans were very angry about that because there should have been a foul on Turner there, and I don't blame them, because I feel like that should have been a foul, and that anytime when you're an attacker and you basically try to go up up to get the ball, and you basically bump the goalkeeper to try to do so, then yeah, that usually is going to be a foul because the goalkeeper always gets the benefit of the doubt. So the fact that that was one of those times where they didn't decide to do so, and I think they even gone to VAR to check to see if that is the case, and they still stands the call. Yeah, I don't know. I know that some people say, well, maybe it wasn't clear and obvious. When you look on that play, it was pretty clear that Shabilko bumped into Turner as that ball was coming into the box. Like, I think that is pretty clear and obvious, and probably even more clear and obvious than what you see maybe like an offside call that maybe had like a difficult angle and you can't really see it clear and obvious. So yeah, I thought they got it wrong in that call, and again, Revs fans are going to be very angry about that call. And as I said, this is a decision that went against them, just like the one that they had last week against Nashville, but only this time it affected the result, because instead of the Revs walking off with another win against the Union on the road, it ends in a 1-1 draw in this game. And the shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 15 that the Revs had, 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Revs had, 7 shots off target compared to 8 that the Revs had, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Revs had, and possession-wise, dead even at 50%. And, I think the only thing I will say about this game is, despite the fact that I know New England fans are going to be upset that they didn't get the win in this because of a blown call, I thought overall, when you look at how this game went, it was only fair that both of these teams kind of split the points, because both of these really was playing well, and it was relatively even throughout the entire part of the game. And if the Union didn't walk away with any points in this game, I think they're going to be frustrated at the fact that they should have done, and they'll probably even point out too that the expected goals and the fact that they pretty much have the same expected goal as the Revs had in this game, and therefore they probably should have got a draw out of this game. And also, this is why I usually never bring up expected goal, because I know a lot of people talk about expected goals, and this is the reason why we should have won it, but at the end of the day, expected goal doesn't really mean anything. Like, you're not going to get bonus point for having a very high expected goal. What is something that will matter is the scoreboard at the end of the day, and the scoreboard basically read that both of these teams ends up sharing the points in this game, and the scoreboard says it was a 1-1 draw between the Union and the Revs. But now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is the game that I didn't watch, and the one that I watched as a condensed version between Houston versus Sporting KC, and in the end, Houston able to get a 1-0 win against Sporting KC. And just like what I said with Montreal, Houston also probably watched my video on Tuesday where I look at the 5 most surprising teams so far in MLS, and they didn't see their name on the board, and they definitely took it personally in this game against Sporting KC. Now, I will say this, I think a big part of why Houston won this game was because Marich was definitely on his game, and that he really stole this one for the Houston Dynamo, because throughout this game, I thought Sporting KC were by far the better team, and they had tons of chances to not only get a point out of this game, but also win this one. But again, Marich was just on top of his game in this one. But in the first couple of minutes, I thought actually Houston started off the better side, and Tim Parker did have a chance in the 9th minute to head one in, but unfortunately he had it wide. Gadi Kinda did have a chance in the 21st minute to curl one wide in the curls one wide, but unfortunately, or try to curls one, but unfortunately that went wide. And really, that was kind of the only action we saw in the first half, because it doesn't seem like, with the lack of highlights that I saw in the condensed version, it probably means that it was relatively a boring first half. Now, in the second half, things did eventually pick up, and I talked about how Marich was solid in this game. Well, he actually almost made a goalkeeping howler here 2 minutes into the second half, as I thought he got away with one where he was trying to come off his line to smother the ball away, but unfortunately just completely missed it. And he is very fortunate that there was 2 Dynamo players just boots that one away as he missed that ball, because if there was no Dynamo player around him to just try to clear that one away in case he makes a mistake, that would have ends up to be a disaster for Marko Maric. But in the 51st minute, he did make up for that almost disastrous play by making a great save save on Daniel Showery. I mean, Daniel Showery is literally the most cursed player right now in MLS, where he just simply cannot buy a goal. Well, actually, he did score a goal in the first game of the season, but it seemed like the soccer gods are saying, yeah, that's all you're going to have for the rest of the season. And no matter how good of a possession that Showery has, like, you can literally leave Showery wide open in the box, but he probably will find some way to miss that. I mean, again, he is just right now seems like the most cursed player in the league right now. Sporting KC did start off the better side as I wrote, but instead the Dynamo was the one that gets the opening goal, and it's Maxi Urruti that scores from Derek Jones. What a pass this was for Jones to split the SKC defense and provide a great ball to Urruti, who makes no mistake to give Houston a 1-0 lead. Then Marriage would rob Kinda, who actually had a free header in the box before it was Polito, the latest victim of getting robbed by Marco Marriage, as Polito had a great chance to basically strike it all in the volley and was also left completely unmarked in the box, but Marriage was able to deny them there. SKC was really pushing for the equalizer, but then in the 74th minute, Fafa Pico had a chance to kill this game off for Houston, as he actually went through on goal, and unfortunately he puts that one wide. And you just wonder with that goal that he missed. And I was originally going to write it here on the board, but I actually did not have enough space. But I was also going to write, is that miss is going to haunt Houston back, because they didn't really have a lot of chances in that game. That was probably the best chance that they had besides the goal that they scored in the 56th minute. And the fact that they missed that one, and Sporting KC was really pushing to get this equalizer, it seems like that is going to haunt them back. But fortunately, it wasn't meant to be, because despite the fact that Sporting KC threw the kitchen sink, Houston was able to hold on to that 1-0 lead. In fact, all of these games I'm going to talk about that actually ended 1-0 are kind of very similar, where one team was able to just do enough to get that one goal, while the opposition just unable to put away the chances that they had in this game to maybe get themselves a point, or even get themselves all 3 points. But going back to this game, in terms of shots in this one, Sporting KC had 16 shots compared to 5 that Houston has, 4 shots on goal compared to 1 that the Dynamo has, 3 shots off target compared to 2 that the Dynamo has, 9 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Dynamo has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that Houston had in this game. And despite the fact that Sporting KC dominated every single category on the stats chart, it was Marriage basically stood on his head and stole this one for Houston. And not to mention, the Dynamo just got that one goal, which was enough for them to get all 3 points in this game. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is Minnesota. Finally, the Loons have got themselves their first win of the season. Now, granted, this was definitely not a pretty win by the Loons. And granted, yes, there was still some same defensive mistake that I've saw in previous game that was still happening in this one against Vancouver. And yes, the attack is still not as sharp as I hope this team would be. But at the end of the day, when you start the season 0-4, and when you basically have the entire team that have no confidence whatsoever coming into a game, at the end of the day, I take anything for the Loons to get all 3 points in this one. Like, I can take maybe a performance where they probably got lucky with a referee decision goal their way, or maybe just an own goal that is scored by Vancouver for them to get a 1-0 victory to get all 3 points. But at the end of the day, when you start the season as bad as Minnesota has, you take anything that will give you an advantage to get all 3 points in this game. And thankfully, those two things that I've kind of mentioned of anything that to get them the victory didn't really happen. And in the end, they did actually had a goal, and it wasn't even from the penalty spot. That was enough to get themselves all 3 points. Now, in the first half, 5 minutes in the game, Vancouver should have got a 1-0 lead, and Dahomey probably would love to have this one back, because this was once again a WTF giveaway from Chase Gaspard. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Chase Gaspard have not been even find himself on the bench and have kept starting day in and day out, because I think we can all agree that Chase Gaspard, in terms of that defense, is the biggest liability. And the fact that he is still starting day in and day out, I mean, I am really surprised that it is going to be the case. And it's not like the fullback position we have lack of options. So again, I'm really surprised that he, with how bad he has looked for the past couple of games and how low of a confidence that he has been having for the past couple of games. I'm surprised Adrian Heath haven't even thought about maybe benching him for this one. But then 1 minute later, Reynoso did miss wide, as I thought the Loons, they had all the possession early in the game, but as it is the case for their story of the season, no creativity whatsoever going forward. Then in the 23rd minute, Cavallini missed wide from the header before Miller was able to rob Cavallini. Tyler Miller, of course, was in goal in this game, and I think after this game, he might have won his starting position back because he was absolutely solid in this game. And again, he made a great save to deny Cavallini, who tried to hit that one in. But you can clearly see Vancouver was pressing for the opener. Cavallini did have another chance where he hits the free kick effort that is denied by Tyler Miller. I thought there was just way too much space for Vancouver to work with whenever they go on the attack. And I also kind of thought that, that first goal was going to eventually come from Vancouver, because I've seen this before where this team just, anytime when they had to face some adversity and that the opposition decided to kind of press with them, I know for a fact that the Loons are going to buckle and eventually give up the first goal. But to my biggest surprise, they didn't do it this time. In fact, in the 34th minute, Reynoso did have a chance to get the first goal, but unfortunately blazed it high. And as the half kind of end, it looked like the Loons for once actually ride out a storm that Vancouver was trying to put in the waves of attack that they were trying to do to get that opening goal. But the Loons actually survived, so that was definitely encouraging to see that happen. But we shall see whether or not if they can maybe do the same thing in the second half. But in the second half, with this game being scoreless, Crépeau did deny Reynoso early in this game before Laird actually blazed one high from 18 yards out. But in the second half, one thing I love what Minnesota did is that they kind of started to show some hunger that I have not seen this team done very often. And you can clearly see that, after that first half where I didn't think they played relatively well in the first half, it was definitely refreshing to see that this team definitely looked like they wants to win this game and show some desperation, because I've seen also before where when nothing is going right with them, they just feel like they just give up, like they could just accept the fact that this is going to be another loss for them. Miller did deny Dahomey in the 56th minute before Roman Abila, who just came on as a sub, actually flicked one high in the 68th minute. But then in the 72nd minute, the opening goal happened. And I think this is, I believe, the first time... Oh, no, this is not the first time the Loons have led. I forgot that they actually led 1-0 against Colorado in the last game. And the less say about that game, the better. But, Abila did score his first goal first goal for Minnesota in this game. Almost said first goal in his career, because I'm pretty sure he has scored a bunch of goals with Boca Juniors before. But this was his first MLS career goal, as he scored from Robin Lod to give a 1-0 lead for Minnesota. Vancouver did try to answer 14 minutes later when Jake Nowinski had a good chance to hit one on the volley and actually was completely left on mark, but unfortunately he hits one wide. Vancouver again pushing to try to get the equalizer late, but in the end, Minnesota able to survive to finally get their first win of the season. And the shots in this one, 17 shots compared to 12 that Vancouver has, 4 shots on goal compared to 5 that Vancouver has, 6 shots off target compared to 2 that Vancouver had, 7 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that Vancouver has. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that the Whitecaps had in this game. And like I said before, I'm just so relieved that the Loons have finally got their first win of the season, because you can clearly see that this team, as much as I've said before how this team is clearly underachieved, it's also the fact that this team just have no confidence whatsoever. And I'm really hoping this 3 points will actually give some confidence to this team, and maybe, just maybe, this is a turning point for this team to start to maybe go on a little bit of a run, because even though they did get a win in this one, they only got 3 points on the board and they're still near the bottom of the Western Conference. And if they want to maybe met that expectation that they had in the beginning of the season, they really need to start on a run. But like I said, hopefully this win will lift the spirits of the team, and they can start to realize that they actually are a decent soccer team, and they are actually a team that can compete for MLS Cup this season. But as for the Vancouver Whitecaps, this has to be a disappointment disappointing performance because, not only the fact that they handed the first win to a team that has not won a single game this season, but they had tons of chances in this game, and they would have buried one of those chances. I think most likely they're going to win this game. Actually, I'm not even going to say most likely. They're definitely going to win this game because I'm assuming if Vancouver did go up 1-0 in the first half, I just don't see any way back for Minnesota, judging by how it's been going for them throughout this season. But now moving on into the last game on the board is the game that I attended, which is between the Quakes versus the Seattle Sounders, and this, as I also mentioned, was a top-of-the-table clash, and it definitely did not disappoint of being a top-of-the-table clash. I mean, I know there wasn't really a lot of hype around this game. In fact, I don't think a lot of people realized that this was a battle between the two teams that is at the top of the Supporters' Shield standing, but, I definitely was kind of hyped up about this, and even though I know the Quakes did end up on the losing end, I said before in the preview where whenever you watch a Quakes game, there's going to be something crazy that's going to happen, and boy, indeed we did had something crazy that would happen at the end of this game. And this also was a very physical game and almost kind of like a rivalry game with the way that how this game of course went on. But in the first half, Ruidíaz did miss wide from 18 yards out, and I thought that was a warning shot for the Quakes because, Ruidíaz actually found some space at the 18-yard box, and he usually does not miss those chances. The Sounders did had a lot of possession early in this game, but then in the 18th minute, there was no penalty that was given to the Quakes, or shall I say there was a penalty that was given to the Quakes on a handball on the Sounders, and I believe it was Yamar, the one that originally committed the handball, but they did go to VAR to see whether or not indeed it was not a handball, and I did actually saw the replay after this game, and yeah, I think that was a good call. And I mean, yes, it did hit Yamar's arm, but it seems like his arm is basically tugged, and whenever your arm is tugged, and even if the ball strike your arm like that, it would be really harsh to call that to be a penalty. So therefore VAR basically overrules that, and then 1 minute later, after that penalty was not given, Christian Rodin would score an absolute golazo and definitely in contention early for goal of the week, as the Sounders of course got a 1-0 lead. Up that point, like that literally just gives me bad memory of what happened before, where I've seen this story before where the Quakes had a penalty that is taken away from them, and then all of a sudden the players look dejected, and then the opposition score on the other end. And even though some people say that that has to be disheartening, for me it's not, because I've experienced this before, and yes, it's frustrated that of course happened, but it doesn't really kind of hit me that hard because I've seen this before. And also maybe it's because this is still early in this game, and that there's still a long ways to go. I mean, if this happened maybe in the 89th minute, yeah, maybe this will hurt with the way that the Quakes had a chance to win the game, and then not only the fact that it was taken away because of VAR, but then they concede on the other end. Now, in the 38th minute, Fry did deny K. Cow, and I thought for the first half it was just not a good first half for the Quakes. I mean, their defense in the first half, even though they only gave up that one spectacular goal, there was times where I thought the Sounders could have got that second goal, and they were really having a lot of trouble whenever the ball was coming into the box. And then on the attacking end, they were really struggling to create any chances against the Sounders, which it's understandable because this Sounders defense so far this season looked like the best defense in the league, and I don't think this is the first time we've seen a team really struggle to create anything against the Sounders defense. But K-Cal did try to do so, but Stephen Fry was able to make a save there. But as we head into the second half with the Sounders with a 1-0 lead after 45 minutes, Nuhu almost had a chance to score his first ever career goal as he hit to just wide in the 47 minutes. Like, I swear, if that goal went in, not only the fact that the Sounders would be up 2-0, but I think the Sounders fan base would be they would definitely be celebrating to the end of the night with the way that they've been wishing that Nuhu can eventually score his first ever career goal, and he came very close to potentially do so at that point. Now, in the 55th minute, Fierro did put it sit wide from close range. I thought the Quakes started to press for the equalizer, but Rodon did have a chance to kind of score a goal that was similar to what he scored in the first half, where he was trying to drive one from 21 yards out, but unfortunately he missed the target this time. Before, Ruidíaz did have a chance to try to chip the goalkeeper, but he missed one. Ruidíaz was relatively quiet in this game. I mean, I know he did have that chance and then the chance that he had in the first minute of the game, but I thought the Quakes did a good job in terms of shutting him down for majority of this game. And then in the 65th minute, Wando was summoned into this game, and you just wonder, with Wando coming into this game, are we maybe going to see a repeat of what we saw in the last game, where he also came in right around the same time and he made an instant impact by scoring those 2 goals for a come from behind victory that the Quakes had against RSL. But before that, Rios actually almost scored a very weird goal where Stefan Fry was trying to clear that one away, and it was just one of those instant where, you know, an attacker trying to block a clearance from the goalkeeper, and Rios actually was successfully able to do so. But unfortunately, as this one was trying to redirect toward goal, it actually went wide. But you know, I kind of wanted to see that go in, because not only that gets the equalizer, but also I thought the Quakes up to that point, you know, with the way that they were really pushing to try to get the equalizer, they definitely deserve a goal. But I feel like the Sounders kind of realized that the Quakes were definitely pushing for that equalizer, so they decided to what a lot of great teams do, and this is also the reason why this Sounders team is just such a good team, because they know that there are moments where when they're definitely on the ropes, they have the ability to really try to take the lid off of this game, and that's exactly what they did for the last 20 minutes of this game, as they really started to nullify the Quakes and not allowing them a lot of chances going forward. They did have a chance late in the 85th minute as Brad Smith looking to try to finish it off, but unfortunately he puts a shot high from long range. Before, in the 89th minute, this is where the crazy thing happens. So Stefan Fry basically had to come up with an injury, and I think he basically landed awkwardly on his knees after he actually got bumped by one of his player. And you know, certainly I hope Stefan Fry is okay, and you know, we don't know what exactly the injury is, but judging by the fact that he was really struggling to try to limp off, or actually had to help off on his foot, and it seems like he didn't really kind of put pressure on that foot that he basically aggravated. You just hope that it's nothing very serious, and that, you know, I've seen this happen before, and usually that could be like a torn ACL kind of signing. Now, I don't want to scare any Sounders fans that is the case, and also I'm not a doctor here, but yeah, you just hope that is not a torn ACL, and you know, it would be a huge loss for the Sounders if Stefan Fry is not going to be available for the rest of the season, if indeed that is a torn ACL or even a broken foot. But also because of the fact that the Sounders at that point used up all their subs, that means one of their outfield players will have to go in goal, which Alex Rodon basically volunteered that he was going to be the goalkeeper in goal. And you know, despite the fact that the Quakes really push hard, and that, you know, that they were up a man for the last couple of minutes of stoppage time, and we're looking to try to test Alex Rodon to try to maybe score the equalizer, they weren't able to do so, as in the end, the Sounders survive and walk away with a 1-0 win against the Quakes. Shots in this one, 17 shots compared to 15 that the Quakes had, 6 shots on goal compared to 1 that the Sounders had, 5 shots off target compared to 11 that the Sounders had, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that the Sounders had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that the Sounders had in this game. And you know, the Sounders with a good gritty kind of performance, and in some way I will also say that they kind of avoid the trap, knowing the fact that they do have that big game against LAFC, and this could have been an easy game for them to overlook. But you know, this is again why I think the Sounders team is definitely maybe the favorites of winning MLS Cup, because they definitely have that championship mentality, that even in a game where they can easily overlook, they can still able to come out with all 3 points. And you know, for the Quakes, even though I know the free game winning streak is over, and the fact that they had chances to maybe score a goal to get a point out of this game and they couldn't do so, I'm still proud of the way that this team performance, and there's really no shame of losing to the Seattle Sounders, where they have really been getting off to just a great start to start the season. And yeah, they're just gonna have to move on to the next game, where the next game is also going to be a pretty tough one, as they're going to be playing against the Portland Timbers on Saturday. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of all 6 of these games. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of all of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.